I'm going off every chance I get. I don't really take a loss, well, I'll admit. That's why I'll make it to the top, yeah, I commit. And no, I'm never getting lost, I get after it. Investing in my own stock, cause it's faster than any crypto hits go, let me spend. Everything that you see is something I invent. And it's only a percent. I'm gonna take shots. If I miss all, forget it. I'll take a fat loss just to learn all that's in it. I'm taking snapshots, learning how to fall and get it. I'm getting back up, always stand tall, don't sweat it. I never back up, I don't miss a thing, I'll regret it. I'm always learning, you could call me academic. I'm always working, never been apathetic. That energy is like a poison, needs some antiseptic. Ain't no motherfucker in this world can do it like me. Open up your eyes and insert a little rising. You don't have to love me, you don't have to like me. Got enough love in myself and my psyche. You should have the same in your brain nightly. If you want to taste me, you can try me. If you want to hate, bitch, you know where to find me. And if you're going hate this, you can fight me. Ain't no motherfucker in this world can do it like me. Open up your eyes and insert a little rising. You don't have to love me, you don't have to like me. Got enough love in myself and my psyche. You should have the same in your brain nightly. If you want to taste me, you can fucking try me. If you want to hate, you know where to find me. And if you're going hate this, you can fucking bite me. Ain't no motherfucker in this world can do it like me. Open up your eyes and insert a little rising. You don't have to love me, you don't have to like me. Got enough love in myself and my psyche. Ain't no motherfucker in this world can do it like me. Open up your eyes and insert a little rising. You don't have to love me, you don't have to like me. Got enough love in myself and my psyche. You should have the same in your brain nightly. If you wanna taste me, you can fucking try me. If you wanna hate, you know where to find me. And if you're going hate this, you can fucking bite me. I'll be cruising in my lane fast, call it high speed. I've been working hard, yeah, I've been working nightly. If you think you'll win, ha, nah, likely. I be taking shots, yeah, cold-blooded, icy. Watching numbers grow is what I call.
Yo, hey, what's up, everyone? Welcome back to the most interactive wrestling stream on the interweb. Welcome back to Wrestling. No, that's not the name of the show. Big Ohm Live. I'm still getting used to it, even after a couple of months. Welcome back to Big Ohm Live. That might as well be a permanent part of the show at this point, in the intro. But I'm live here across YouTube. Hope everyone's having a wonderful Saturday. Hope everyone in the States had a wonderful Thanksgiving. If you're up there in Canada, as some people apparently say, hope you enjoy your Thanksgiving, which I believe is on Monday, if I'm not mistaken. If I am, I apologize to all my Canadian brethren, sisterin, and NBs up there. Hope everyone is having a wonderful day, regardless of where you are, what you're doing, how you're doing. Be sure to go through it with a smile. Late again. You know what, Wall Street Money? I was on time. The stream started on time. Was I live? Yes. Was I talking? No. Had an awesome Wednesday Dynamite birthday. Happy belated birthday, Viper. Happy belated birthday. What's up, Batman? What's up, Wall Street? What's up, everybody in the chat? If you're joining, we got a good amount of stuff to get to today. Today is Survivor Series War Games, as Regal likes to say. We're going to talk about who is going to win, who should win, who probably will win, and the all-important question: have we seen John Cena's final win in WWE? Yeah, whatever. We're also going to talk about the Andrade situation, which continues to blossom in some ways. And also Chris Jericho, which I just saw that James talked about. Did you see the WWE offer Jericho a contract? I did see a report about Chris Jericho and a potential offer. We'll dive into that and take a look at that and what I think about all of that. But before we get to there, be sure to smash that thumbs up if you haven't already. When you hit that like button, more people see the stream, the community grows, and it's better for everybody. So go on ahead and do that. Smash that thumbs up. And if you want to guarantee, make sure and guarantee again that your chat or question is read out and answered on the air. Be sure to leave a super chat, or you want to make it easier on yourself, become a member for $5 a month, guaranteed to read out your chats as the stream goes. I've heard rumors about Liv Morgan supposedly returning tonight. I mean, maybe it's possible. I could see her being more so a Rumble entrant. I think that WWE's of the mindset in this era that they would rather save their big returns for like major moments like the Rumble or Mania or something. That would, to me, be more along the lines of what WWE would do as far as their strategy. In the end, we'll see, but it's quite possible. All right. Let's dive on in, people, and talk about everyone's favorite wrestle grandpa, Chris Jericho. Okay, let's talk about it here. Chris Jericho, his AEW contract, I should say, is coming up very soon, imminently, if not in a matter of a few days. And it looks like all directions are pointing towards WWE. It's been long speculated that he would be in the Royal Rumble. It's been long speculated that he would end up in WWE. It's been long speculated that Jericho would be primed for what could be his final run ever in WWE. Yes, Jericho in the Big 2-5. No, talk about Jericho in the Big 2-6, because that is probably when you will see him in WWE. And we have a bit of a report here from Dave Meltzer and Wrestling Observer Newsletter saying the following: WWE has offered Chris Jericho a retirement storyline, and those in WWE have said that's what they'd be interested in. Others expect him there early next year, but nothing is confirmed. Nothing is confirmed. Now, I think this very much so goes along with what we've heard. The only real new piece of information coming out of Dave's report there was that WWE was really only interested in Jericho for a retirement story, which makes sense. WWE is in a moment where they're trying to cash in on aura. They're trying to cash in on the vibe of the show more so than the storylines or the spectacle, or I guess the spectacle counts in that. But the storylines, the wrestling, the action are all like secondary. And the primary motive right now is to ensure that they have big stars with recognition who have intellectual property that they can manipulate and sell. That's what it's all about at the end of the day. So for WWE, makes sense to bring in Chris Jericho, final run in WWE with retirement storyline, maybe his first year here. You have him come back and do something that's like more native and more like, central to the Chris Jericho character. And then in 2027, that's the final run of Jericho. Drink it in, man. I just hope it's better than Cena's retirement run. I would... a fart in the wind would be better than John Cena's retirement run, or the vast majority of John Cena's retirement run. It has been... I'm already on record saying this. I'm not going to retread this too much. It's just been one of the most disappointing things I've experienced as a fan. This last run of John Cena. It is what it is. But Jericho, I mean, look, he's going to do his stuff in WWE. We're probably going to see him paired up with a couple of the young guys in WWE. Expect him and Carmelo Hayes to be very close. Expect him and potentially, like, who knows? We could have him and Braun Breaker, man. Y2 Braun, baby. No, please don't do that. But I think, like, whether it's matches with the likes of Roman, matches with the likes of Seth and Cody, which Cody and Jericho would be a very interesting matchup to do, considering their history. Remember Jericho and that stipulation going into that Full Gear 2019 match where Cody said that he would challenge for the AEW title, but if he didn't win the belt, then he would never challenge for it again. It is, a central reason why I think the Cody Rhodes character on screen was viewed in the way that he was by many wrestling fans. And I think there's speculation about how, that played out and whether or not that played a hand into his eventual like departure from the company. I think Cody left for personal reasons. It's very clear from that, but we'll see. But Jericho is going to be a very interesting thing to see in WWE. And, it's going to be the question, will this come at the expense of other younger talent that you are trying to feature and that you're struggling to feature, right? Carmelo Hayes came up to the main roster almost 2 years ago now. What has he done of substance on the main roster? Virtually nothing. Virtually nothing. Trick Williams is a guy who I think in another era would have already been on the main roster, would have already probably held a singles championship or some sort of gold in WWE on the main roster, but that has not happened, and it's a byproduct of a lot of the older guys, especially on the men's side, getting more looks, getting more placement, getting more time at the top. Because why would you build guys like Trick Williams, Carmelo Hayes, have Braun Breaker for a while. Braun Breaker was also in this spot. Why would you build them when you can just push the Roman button, when you can push the Brock button, when you can push the Cena button, and all those guys come through? And I think that's the mindset. Mark Henry this week came out with a quote where he said that, I believe he was talking about Javon Evans. He said, yeah, in like 15 years, Javon Evans is going to have his time. And I'm like, 15 years? 15 years? Javon Evans? Like, I understand he's like 21, 22 years old. But you're telling me we got to wait for him to be 37 to see him do something of substance as a main eventer? That's ridiculous. It's absolutely ridiculous to me. And I'm not a guy who's like, we can't have slow burns or we can't let things breathe, or sometimes you just have to wait a little bit and wait for the right story or whatever. I'm not one of those guys. But at the same time, I'm looking at a situation where look at the crop of wrestlers that are still virtually at the top, right? And the vast majority of them, I would say, were pushed pretty early in their careers. Like, look at a guy like Randy Orton. Randy Orton held the belt at 23 years old. The world's heavyweight championship at 23 years old. Brock Lesnar held the belt at 24 years old. You had guys like John Cena holding the belt, the WWE championship, at 25 years old. Roman, I believe, I'll have to look this up, but I believe was like 28 when he won his first WWE championship. So, it's just ridiculous. It's just ridiculous for people to sit here and say that, we got to wait 15 years for Javon Evans, a guy who, if you put him on the main roster today, I think he would be he could be a main eventer. They just don't want to book him like a main eventer because then they have to maintain that. And that is difficult. And you can't coast on that. And you can't rest on your laurels on that. And you can't just vibe that out. And yeah, Roman was born in 1985, won his first championship in 2015, so he was 30. Still not like 37 or whatever, which is ridiculous. Batman says, I've been noticing that Triple H doesn't book a lot of black talent, especially on the male side. It's kind of weird to me. You know, this has definitely been a topic of conversation online, and you know, it's been a topic of conversation, I think, in a lot of like content creator circles as well. I'm on the record as saying I think that, you know, Triple H has said this before. He doesn't see color. And, you know, he's a guy who thinks that that's a you know, a way to go about it. All right, man. If that's what you think, that's what you want, that's how you want it. All right, man. Like, just don't be mad when people call you out for saying something like that ridiculous, right? Because at the end of the day, I mean, for a while there, I have to check this if this is still true. Because admittedly, I've not been tuned into WWE over the past couple of months, as I probably should be. But on the main roster PLEs, there was a run there for almost like 2 years or something where Snoop Dogg was the only male talent to win like a singles match on a PLE. Triple H doesn't see talent either. That's, I mean, you know, in a lot of circles, that's probably true. That's probably true. The fact that Tony Khan has built new stars way better than Triple H will tell you something. Yeah, and I think, like, you look at the trajectories of, like, other talent that are in AEW, like, I think they're on better trajectories. A lot of them are on better trajectories than some of the WWE guys. Like, I would say, like, if we're looking, like, band for band right now, right, a guy like Carmelo Hayes, I would compare him to be, you know, maybe, you know, like, think like Mike Bailey or Kevin Knight is probably a better example. Like, I would say, like, a year from now, I think Kevin Knight is probably going to be in a much better position than as a singles act. As a singles act, I mean, not as a tag team act. I mean, as a singles act, he's going to be in a better position than Carmelo Hayes is probably, given the trajectories they're going. You know, and like they built up Kyle Fletcher. They're building up Sky Blue. They're building up, you know, a Chris Statlander, probably too late on, like very late, but like they're still building her up, building up Megan Bain, building up Marina Shafir. They are building up their own original crop of talent that feel real, that connect in storylines. And, you know, it's tough. It's just tough, like, to like compare the two, because like, what are you comparing? You're not comparing the same things. So I don't think Triple H views it like wrestling anymore. Michelle in the chat says, hey, Omar, sorry for not being on with you. My daughter spent 4 days in the hospital, and we just got discharged. It's good to be with you again. First of all, prayers, man, to you and your family. Inshallah, everything will be okay. I hope for the best for your daughter. That sounds like an awful ordeal, but I hope the worst is behind you and you can move forward with strength and you know, health. My shout out to you, Michelle. You've been an OG, and I appreciate you, man. Never be sorry. Never be sorry. It's, at the end of the day, it's all wrestling. Family always comes first. All Don Toretto edition. But I'm glad she's discharged, and hopefully everything is going well, man. Reportedly, Randy Orton is not happy with Triple H. I don't know how to gauge that. I haven't seen anything like that. Maybe. Randy's that kind of guy, though. We might see Jacob Fatu return tonight. Also, AEW Winter is Coming is going to be fire. Yeah, I will talk about Winter is Coming in a little bit. You see Randy Orton. Do we think Randy might get a return? Maybe. Dom was named the best wrestler under 30 by ESPN. I'm not like fully against that either. I want to be clear. I just don't like you can think that, and I think like he's definitely like a worthy star. It's just, what are we talking about when we say wrestler, right? Because like it's not just in the ring, if it's total package. You know, it wouldn't be my number one, but he'd be up like in the top 5, I think. But yeah, it is what it is, man. People have opinions. Like I'm not hating on that. There were way more egregious things on that list than Dom being number one. A lot of TNA contracts are up at the end of the year. You think some of them are going to sign with AEW, WWE? Jake something is someone to keep an eye on. I could see WWE getting him. Don't know where he goes. Maybe probably NXT, but we'll see. MJF is still the best under 30, and he's not even wrestling right now. 100%. I like he is the number one in my opinion. I like there's. I think in a couple of months he's probably going to be the number one wrestler in the world. Period. Like when he wins that title back, like he is going to be a top, right? Like in the world. Like I think MJF is probably the best wrestling talent out there right now, just from on a pure talent all around perspective. On the promos, I think he's the best. In the ring, he's always going to be weirdly underrated because of how great his charisma and promo ability are. But, you know, in the ring, he's like really up there as a technical wrestler, as a storyline wrestler, as any type of wrestler you need him to be. You know, like he's just got everything. Star power, he's that damn good. When people say, you know, like he's better than you and you know it, yeah. It's so true. But guys, let me know who your number one would be. Drop your number ones in the chat. Let me see who's your number one wrestler under 30. Because I am interested in seeing, like, you know, what that is. I think it's personally MJF. Sorry. All right. What else we got? Who do we got here? Maybe at Grand Slam. Either maybe. I still am I would still like to see a story, and this is just pure fantasy booking. But the story I really would like to see is Fletcher winning. You know, whether it's a Grand Slam or whatever, but like Fletcher winning the belt going into All In, and then at All In you have Kyle Fletcher against Will Ospreay main eventing Wembley. I think that does a lot for Kyle Fletcher, and it's like Will Ospreay's big crowning moment, and the storyline possibilities are just insane for that. Just insane. What's up, Gerard Clark? Good to see you. Any word on Anna Jay re-signing with AEW? I haven't heard anything. I know that there's the speculation that she's potentially not going to be with the company, or that her contract is going to expire or whatever. I know that that's a rumor, and that's the innuendo. But I have not, you know, seen anything to indicate one way or another. My gut would tell me that she doesn't leave, but again, that's like a very uneducated guess at this point. But it would be interesting. I mean, she'd probably go to NXT if she went to WWE, or maybe she ends up going to TNA, in which case she'd probably go to NXT anyway. But we'll see. It would be crazy. Is Will going to be ready by All In, though? I would expect him to be. Whether he is or not, you know, I mean, depends on how the rehab with the injury goes. I'm surprised that AEW's done a better job with Ricochet, way better than this time with WWE. Tony succeeded where Triple H failed with Ricochet. Yeah, 100%. I think that Ricochet is. I mean, we also like you know, like Tony Khan sure played a part in it, but and that was a pivotal thing. But Ricochet, the guy, like the wrestler, deserves a lot of credit because he was able to portray this character, right? You know, Tony brought it, like, Tony obviously books the show, but Ricochet brought this to life, and he sustained this for almost a year at this point. That's no small feat, and that's a big credit to Ricochet. A guy who everyone said, can't cut a promo, isn't an interesting character, turned into what I think, like, a very well-rounded character, and one of the true, like, character draws on the show. Like, I am interested to see what Ricochet does week in, week out. Double or Nothing, still the best pay-per-view this year. That was the one that had the Owen Hart Cup finals. The best, it's certain. I mean, it's been an insane year, especially in AEW for pay-per-views. Like, to me, I'm like, if I had to put like best bell to bell, it might be it might be Wrestle Dream. Just bell to bell action. As far as like my feeling and how a pay-per-view made me feel, I think it was All In. Even though like that was it was really the main event that like carried that show. I mean, there was some really good wrestling as well there, but whatever. Like it was that match. It was that Texas Death Match. Revolution though. Oh man, Revolution had the Kenny Omega International Championship match with Konosuke Takeshita, the Will Ospreay versus Kyle Fletcher Steel Cage match, and the Hollywood ending Mariah May versus Toni Storm for the AEW World Championship. Ooh. It's tough, man. That is truly tough. It's truly tough. I'm Omer, but I have to be honest. Hi, Omer, maybe. But I have to be honest. Survivor Series War Games, Survivor Series War Games never top what Blood and Guts past accomplishment, and the women's match is still critically praised. Yeah, I mean, it is. It's going to be very difficult for them to top what happened in that women's Blood and Guts match, especially. I mean, even the men's one was really good. I would expect the women's War Games match to be like that's going to be the match of the night, probably. I think, and like it has more storyline elements to it that make sense. I just think like they just put star power in that other one. Like it's just what it is. It's aura farming. Follow letters, one word. Aura, whatever. It is what it is. But yeah, shout out to Wall Street Money for the $6.99 Canadian. Kenny Omega unfortunately has 2 to 3 years, and he is not winning another world championship. Also, Claudio winning the CMLL world title. First of all, thank you, Wall Street Money, for the super chat. We are 1 out of 5 on our goal. If we get 5 super chats in the next 30 minutes, 4 more super chats in the next 30 minutes, I will bite the bullet and do a live stream of Survivor Series, a live stream watch along of Survivor Series. So get those super chats in, or I will count memberships. If you become a member for $5 a month and get yourself access to all the perks and early access to videos and all that kind of stuff, I will count that towards this goal personally. So 4 more. Just give me 4 more. Let's see if we can get there. I'll actually stick on this because this was something that I wanted to talk about. Kenny Omega. According to Wrestling Observer newsletter, Dave Meltzer, AEW are trying to avoid putting Kenny Omega in a long singles match, and that may be part of the reason they put him back with the Young Bucks. Okay, so AEW... Obviously, they've been using Kenny Omega very sparingly. It's the reason why they write him off TV every couple of weeks. Because the honest truth is, like, Kenny's body is really broken down. And I don't say that in, like, oh, my God, like, his wrestling's awful. Like, Kenny's still going, and he's giving it 110%. And it's still very, very, very good. But the reality is, man, like, between that, the diverticulitis, like, it has taken a toll. And Kenny Omega, I believe, did an interview, like, leading up to All In this year, where he said, like, he's not the same. He said he's just not the same guy that he used to be in the ring. And he doesn't want people to see, like, him be that old man wrestler who, like, stays past his prime. He wants to use whatever he has left in order to produce good stuff, in order to produce stuff that he and the fans can be proud of. I think they're doing the smart thing by spacing it out. I'm not going to say that he's never going to be AEW champion ever again. I think you could have a Bryan Danielson moment where, Omega, like, it's his last time challenging for the belt. Like, you could tell that story. And, like, the cleaner, the best bout machine, the belt collector collects one final belt one final time. Like, that could be a very interesting retirement story for Kenny. On the Claudio thing, Claudio Castagnoli at the CMLL show last night did win the CMLL world title. He came out to like his like dictator music, which is crazy. Like it was cool. It was cool to see Claudio win that. And I think there's an interesting storyline element here where Claudio wins that belt. What happens if Marina Shafir and like Megan Bayne win their belt? If they win the tag titles, where does that leave Jon Moxley? Because then you have Claudio with a belt with a world title. Marina with a title. Potentially, like, you could have Pac or Wheeler win a title. Like, Moxley, the pressure is going to be on to him to prove that he's still that guy to the Death Riders. And there's some interesting storyline elements there. Shout out to Gerard Clark. I think WWE will continue to counter-program AEW. Haven't TKO learned their lesson last time? Aren't they aware of the repercussions of their stubbornness? They don't care. It's just like a matter of fact. They don't care because they're going to be making their money regardless. And, they want to be able to control the narrative. That's what it's all about. But remember, I think all of this eventually could bite them back eventually, assuming like they continue like very aggressive business practices. Because one thing I can tell you is if there's a guy who would file some sort of a counter, or sorry, not a counter, an antitrust lawsuit against WWE, it would be Tony. I think he's just waiting. And if WWE doesn't, I think I could see him doing it. But we'll see. Most interesting storyline right now is Takeshita versus Okada. I do love that story. I do think that's a great story. I mean, the entire dynamic with the Don Callis family is really good right now. I do, and I understand I'm probably in the minority on this. I do enjoy the stuff they've done with Hook. I think that, the character Hook needs to change and be tweaked a little bit. But I am enjoying generally what's happening with the direction of the ops. And I think they're being set up for a big trios title match between Swerve, Kingston, and Hangman against the ops, and I could see that team winning the titles from them. So I'm enjoying that. I'm really enjoying the tag team stuff with the women too. The World Tag Team Title Tournament is great. The FTR stuff is kind of petered off, and it's not as good as it was when Edge and Christian were there. But I mean, overall, I'm really enjoying the vast majority of the stuff on AEW. The promo from Eddie was really good. Yes, it was. Promo was fantastic from Eddie. With a tear in my eye, it was really good on Collision. If you have not seen it, I'm surprised TNA has not made their TV deal yet. My pick for the Rumble is Sammy. I don't think Sammy's winning the Rumble. I think it should be Braun. Even though they're probably gonna end up doing Braun and Brock at Mania. I mean, it should be Braun. Or maybe just push Obafemi. You had Jay freaking Uso win last year. Like push a young guy. Come on, dog. AEW Australia is gonna be interesting. Yes, it is. Yes, it is. And the wild thing is AEW, they're gonna be in they're going to be doing like their big shows in Manchester and Cardiff coming up in like 2 weeks. Yeah, 2 weeks. They're going to be in Cardiff and Manchester. Actually, let me see if we have an update on ticket sales for that because that is a big thing. Oh, shout out to American Freestyle Wrestling for selling 4,000 tickets. That's a good number for them. Let me see if we have an update on AEW ticket sales for Manchester. Once I was in, I took a day trip when I was in England. I took a day trip out to Wales, and there's this dude who like, you think he definitely had one too many. And my buddy had a camera, like an actual professional camera. He's like, "Hey, what's that? You got a camera there? You got a camera there? Yeah, I'm from Manchester. Yeah, me and my buddies made our way down here. That's a nice camera you got there." And he just kept on asking about the camera. I don't know what that has to do with anything. Every time I think of Manchester now, I think of that guy. Um, all right, here we go. This is a little bit dated. This is from about 5 days ago. But this is AEW Co-op Live in Manchester for Dynamite. They've sold 8,100 tickets. They're set up for 11,000. And it looks like this is going to be one of the top like Dynamites as far as attendance this year. Only I think the only other big one that I can remember, that sold more tickets than this would be the Mexico City one, Grand Slam Mexico, which was like 8,000, or sorry, 16,000, or sorry, 14,000. Who was Becky talking about in the interview? Are you talking about when she said, like, I went to wrestling a nobody after Mania? That was Lacey Evans. What's up, Juggernaut? Good to see you, my man. Watch him do a triple threat at Mania. Roman versus Punk versus Cody for all the gold. Another championship unification would be nuts, bro. Would be nuts, dog. That would be insane. What are your thoughts on TNA getting a TV deal with AMC? Yeah, I mean, that's something that's been speculated and reported. It would be very good for them because, I mean, it would be a drastic improvement. Like, them on Access, I think, is probably worse for TNA than if they just do a show free on YouTube. Because at least then you could, like, sell your own ads. Like, Access, the only reason they're even on there is because of the fact that Anthem, the owner of TNA, owns Access TV. So, like, AMC is automatically going to be a boost. Remember, this is a channel that at once upon a time produced, you know, Mad Men, Breaking Bad, and all these other fantastic shows. So I'm pretty optimistic. We'll see what the numbers are going to be for this. We'll see what the numbers are going to be. I think that in this landscape where you're seeing the numbers for wrestling, especially the Nielsen ratings for wrestling, kind of dip, and the fact that TNA can no longer hide that, because originally, you know, Anthem had requested that, you know, hey, no, don't track us on Nielsen, and they don't do that anymore, or they haven't done that for a time. But the numbers for TNA the last time that we actually got them were not great. I believe they were like 300,000, and not great compared to where they used to be. Let me see, TNA Impact TV ratings. So, like, I'm just pulling this up quickly on Wikipedia, right? Like, if you look, right, like, you had Once Upon a Time, they were on like FSN, Fox Sports, and then they got into Spike, and, you know, they were hitting consistent 1.2s, 1.1s, like, for years, like almost a decade. They were very, like, I mean, again, for the time, it wasn't as good as it would be now, but they had a core audience. And then you see the fall off when they left Spike, which had was in at least a lot of households, and went to Destination America, which wasn't in as many households. You had 390. I forgot about the Pursuit era. Oh my God, I forgot about Pursuit. Shout out to the 200,000 that would still tune into the Pursuit channel. Shout out to them. You deserve that, man. You deserve, y'all deserve, like, the best, because this is true loyalty right here to wrestling. But then, like, the real fall off happened at Access, 147,000. Then they dipped below 100,000 on average, to the point where they just said, "Hey, look, stop reporting. We don't want that anymore." So we'll have to see what that is. I can assure you this: they definitely have a chance to crack 200,000, which would be, I think, a good bar for them. TNA should go to CW. We'll see. I don't know how much a WWE would be fighting for that. You get tired of people saying AEW is dying, and they have been hearing that since 2019. I mean, yeah, that's like, there's it is what it is. People are gonna say whatever, like, gets some clicks, and if that's your opinion that AEW as a product is not good, that's a more than valid like thing to have, because again, you're not gonna. Some people like country, some people like hip hop, some people like pop, some people like techno. Not everyone's going to like the same thing, and that's fine. I do think, like, the people who've been saying, "Oh, AEW is gonna die" since like 2019 are, is there an agenda? Probably. That being said, like, the TV ratings are a very big indicator on the health of the company, and it's going to be interesting to see how well they're able to recover from the dip that has happened over the past couple of weeks from the changing of what's it called? From the changing of the Nielsen metric rating, because like they recently changed that, but we'll see. Yeah, we'll see. Wrestling in general has to kind of bounce back from that, but. Omar, have you ever considered talking about wrestling professionally? I understand that I'm still like young, but like, I don't know. I do feel like I do this professionally. You mean like full time? I could not support myself on this. You're just speaking very frankly. But YouTube is something I do for fun, and I enjoy it, and I definitely try, as you guys know. If you become a member, you can get your chats read out and early access to videos. So become a member. Help me do it professionally. But no, in all seriousness, I mean, like unless you're like a major channel, it's like very hard to get traction. Very hard to get traction. And very hard to like generate revenue. It would be something I would like to do for sure. But, I also have a career that, I'm generally happy with as far as like what I do. Did they announce the location for AEW Revolution? Not yet. Not yet. Are you going to World's End in Chicago? There's a good chance. It just depends on how expensive flights are. It just depends. I'm definitely trying. I'll try, but it depends on how expensive flights are. Might be able to book on points, but we'll see. Omar dropped the list. Which list? The 2020. I already had that recorded. I told you it's coming soon. All right? Told you it's coming soon. I dropped the John Cena list. The other list is coming. It's hard to get traction. Yep. It's very hard to get traction sometimes, but, that's why you got to, like, chill out, man. Just be yourself. That's what I do, man. I'm myself. Whether I got, like, 5 people watching, 50 people watching, it don't matter. I'm here to talk about wrestling. Because that's what I do. And I will give you the real takes, baby. I'll give you them real takes. Do. What else we got going on, guys? What else is going on? The Omer list? What Omer list? You know what? I don't even want to ask. I don't even want to know where you're going with that. I don't even want to know where you're going with that, dog. I'm going to put a stop to that right now. Right the F now. All right. I think we're ready to talk about Andrade. Are we ready to talk about Andrade, chat? Leave a thumbs up if you haven't already so we can talk about Andrade. Let's get this to 10 likes. So if you haven't hit that like button, hit that like button. What's your favorite pay-per-view name for AEW or WWE, AEW, TNA? My favorite pay-per-view name? I love Bad Blood. I think that, like, Bad Blood, Backlash, to me are, like, S-tier pay-per-view names. Double or Nothing. I also love Double or Nothing. All In. Not as big a fan of Full Gear, even though I get what they're trying to do there. Wrestle Dream. Good pay-per-view name. For TNA, I think my favorite one would be I mean, I always hated Slammiversary. I'll be honest with you. I always hated Bound for Glory. I love Bound for Glory. Was not a big fan of Lockdown back in the day, but you know, it is what it is. But yeah. Give me Genesis. Oh, that's my favorite TNA name. Okay, so favorite TNA name for pay-per-view is Genesis. I loved Genesis back in the day. My favorite pay-per-view name for WWE, I think, is Bad Blood. My favorite AEW pay-per-view name is probably Double or Nothing. Excuse me. How do you feel about Stevie Richards singing Logan Paul is better than the entire AEW roster? I find it kind of silly. I mean, I think it's silly. Everyone's entitled to their opinion, but very silly. I in my opinion, I just, come on. Like Logan Paul is good in the ring. He's not a good guy, but he's good in the ring. And but to say that he's better than everyone in AEW, I think is maybe, I don't know. I'm not gonna speak on it. I cannot say I agree. I think it's, as someone who watches every AEW show, who for up until like just a couple of months ago watched every single WWE show for the past couple of years outside of the Saudi shows, I think it's very silly to think that. Wrestle Dream, WrestleMania, Wrestle Kingdom. Wrestle Kingdom is like probably the holy grail of pay-per-view names. Like I think Wrestle Kingdom is a better straight up name than WrestleMania. Also, right now it's even hard to get monetized. I know, brother. It's a hard space, brother. Whew. All right, let's talk about Andrade. Okay, Andrade. Let's talk about him. So, obviously, a lot been made over the past couple of months about Andrade. Tony Khan, most recently, talked about that whole situation on the Ariel Helwani show. When talking about this, though, he spoke about how Andrade is like a good guy. He left on good terms, and they're open to having him back, and that was a big part of it. We now have some clarity because now Andrade looks to be in negotiations with WWE. What do I mean by that? Well, let's start with the first bit of news. The idea that Andrade ended up leaving WWE on the best terms is completely opposite to how WWE described it as possible. As noted, WWE claimed multiple drug test failures and he was fired. And because he was fired for disciplinary reasons, they felt like they didn't have to pay the usual 90-day severance for the non-compete, thus could fire him, not pay him, and still hold him to a non-compete for a year worldwide. Still freaking insane that that's a thing. From WWE's side, it's been said that they may not hold him for the full 1 year. And why is that? How is that? Are there things happening in the background? Well, yes, they are. In his first public interview since this entire controversy happened, this is with TV Azteca. And I want to thank Fightful for the aggregation and Luis from Fightful for the translation for this, because this interview was in Spanish. But here is the full transcript, courtesy of Luis and Fightful. I returned to WWE a year and a half ago. I was in AEW, and at the time, I was happy earning millions. But I was married. My ex-wife's name is Charlotte Flair, and the idea was to return to WWE, to be with her, and many things happened. We got divorced, and I was not comfortable with some things. I had a warning call because many medicines and supplements that can be consumed in Mexico cannot be consumed in the United States. We have certain restrictions on recipes that we cannot consume as athletes because of doping and other things like that. I was a little annoyed. I was also a little annoyed, as Andrade can be. Here's the kicker. I talked to WWE. We reached an agreement on leave. We reached an agreement to leave, and we ended up in the best way at the time. Then I returned to AEW. I imagine they didn't like WWE that he returned. They didn't like WWE. I'm sorry, I'm reading this for the first time. They didn't like WWE that he returned to AEW. I really don't know. I'm grateful for WWE since the lawyer I had was also my ex-wife's lawyer. You can't use the same lawyer anymore. Again, reading this for the first time, that's actually wild. The contract I signed, the lawyer did not realize a clause of 12 months without competition. From there, they took that clause. Right now, we are in that phase. It wouldn't be a year. We're negotiating. I'm going to be 3 months inactive, and I can't compete worldwide. So it looks like Andrade is under the impression that this is going to be negotiated down to a 3-month non-compete, which would mean that it depends on different scenarios, whether that means like 3 months from the point of when they come to a settlement or 3 months from the original deal end date. But the earliest he could possibly come back would be around World's End, I believe, because it was September. It was September when he was released, so it would be the earliest would be around World's End. Interesting to see that. Interesting that that the way that played out, since obviously him and Charlotte, who were once together, now are no longer together, have the same lawyer. I'm sure that complicated things, but I guess Andrade in that way kind of explained the mix-up. So it seems like Andrade's team may have been the one that kind of misled AEW. On that, AEW definitely should have at least asked for the contract. I don't know if that happened or not, but it's a wild world. Wild, wild world in pro wrestling. Oh, man. Andrade showing up the Rumble would be so bad. I mean, that's still, who knows? Could you imagine, like, Andrade showing up in Saudi Arabia for the Rumble? That'd be crazy. That would be the most Andrade thing ever. It's like, bro was about to come back to AEW, then got annoyed, and then was like, okay, going back to WWE now. Oh, man. Like, Andrade is, he is truly one of a kind. Andrade is truly one of a kind, man. What a guy. Oh, man. What do y'all think about the Andrade situation, though? It is kind of wild, isn't it? What do we got here? Survivor Series. You guys want to talk about Survivor Series real quick? And then I got to get on up out of here. Get on up out of here. Anyway, Survivor Series. We got 4 matches tonight. Live Survivor Series from the Padres Stadium. I forgot what the name of it is. Here we go. Petco Park. Shout out to Pepco for that, I guess. Petco Park, San Diego, California, WWE Survivor Series War Games. Let's take a look at tickets for this show. You can see massive stadium show here for Survivor Series. They are sitting at a very pretty 43,360 tickets distributed. Currently set up for just over 44,000 with 1,000 tickets outstanding. Pretty sure they're going to sell a good amount of those, or at least give a good amount of those away, which means that like they're as close to a sellout as you can possibly have in the modern era. And this is going to be John Cena's final stadium show ever. This is going to be a pretty major one because, I think there's a good chance that tonight could be John Cena's final win ever as a wrestler. Now, the other thing that like people have on their minds, like, is this his final win? Has his final win already happened? Was it already against Dom? Let's talk about it. So we got 4 matches here for Survivor Series tonight. Oh, that's not what you guys want to see. 4 matches. CM Punk, Cody, the Usos, and Roman Reigns versus The Vision, Logan Paul, Drew McIntyre, and slipping on a banana himself, Brock Lesnar. That's the men's Survivor Series War Games, or the men's War Games match, excuse me. Then we also have the Rhea Ripley, Io Sky, Alexa Bliss, Charlotte Flair, AJ Lee versus Nia Jax, Lash Legend, Kabuki Warriors, and Becky Lynch War Games match. Singles match for the Intercontinental Championship. John Cena versus Dominic Mysterio. The champion John Cena defending his title for what could be the final time. We'll see. And rounding us out, Nikki Bella challenges for the women's world title against Stephanie Vaquer. All right. So 4 matches. One would think these are not enough for a major PLE, especially one like Survivor Series, which, one of the original big 4 pay-per-views for WWE. Yet, here we are. And I think what they're factoring in here is, WWE usually runs 5-match pay-per-views. And 2 of these matches, at least, are going to go probably over an hour in the War Games matches, right? We're talking about an hour entrance to bell ending, right? So if that's the case, I think WWE's kind of just said, well, let's just scrap whatever other match we would have on here and just do the War Games matches to their intended length, which is fine. Is what it is. I'm not expecting much out of it as far as like having more matches. I mean, I think 4 is far too low. But again, they have already sold the tickets. I can't compete with, I can't argue with that. As a fan, it's just pretty wild. There's also going to be another hour probably for ads. That's why there's a special start time of 7 p.m. So I'm sure we're going to get ads out the wazoo. The John Cena final entrance at Survivor Series, John Cena's final Survivor Series is probably going to be a big thing. So we'll see. Omer, it better be some blood in these War Games matches. I wouldn't count on it. There could be. I just don't think the only storyline here that has built up to the point that there might be blood warranted would be the Io Sky Kabuki Warriors saga. And I'm not sure if that's going to happen there. Like, that's the only feud that's really earned it. It's like the only real feud that WWE's had for most of the year. And it's, in my opinion, by far their best feud, but it's just I just like there's no point, I think, in doing it in the men's War Games match other than having it for the spectacle because they haven't built it up. But it is what it is. I also don't expect that from War Games because WWE's War Games or WWE's War Games, they're not WCW War Games. They're not what the match was originally intended to be. It's just, oh, look, there's a cage, and Io Sky's probably going to do her big trash can moonsault off the top rope. And I mean trash can as in a literal trash can is going to be around her. She's going to do the moonsault. I don't mean it's trash. I think Io does a fantastic job with pretty much everything she does. But it's mostly for the spectacle at this point. Mostly for the spectacle. But let's run down these matches. Nikki Bella, Stephanie Vancouver. There's a weird world where I see Twin Magic and Nikki Bella taking this, and maybe we get a Brie Bella return. But I think I'm pretty confident that Stephanie should and will retain. We also have John Cena again, and this is the interesting thing. John Cena only has 2 matches left. It's going to be this, and then the Saturday night's main event match with presumably the Gunther, who's probably going to win this tournament. And conventional wisdom would tell you that Cena's probably already won his final match. Because, what does Gunther gain really from winning the IC title? He's already beating John Cena in his final match. He's sending him into retirement. Does he really need the IC belt? Because the IC belt, the whole point of that was just to give Cena the Grand Slam thing, right? Now, I think there's an interesting story to tell where John Cena, loses this, and he's like, well, I hope I haven't had my last victory. And, that's the motivation you use going into that final appearance. But, I mean, also, Cena's probably not going to appear again. Well, I mean, I'm of the opinion that Cena, going into Saturday night's main event, that week, on either Raw or SmackDown, is going to make a surprise appearance and say, this wasn't on the schedule, but this one's for free from me. I think that could be a very good thing for them to do. Anyway, but it is an interesting question. Has John Cena already won his final match? I'm of the opinion that tonight he probably loses and they put the belt back on Dom. And if that's the case, then yes. I think John Cena, we've already seen his final match, final victory, and it was in Madison Square Garden, teaming up with Rey Mysterio, Sheamus, 2 wrestlers he's been, either feuded with or allied with throughout his career. And it's crazy to think. It's crazy to see. But here we are. You also have CM Punk, Cody Rhodes, the Usos, Roman Reigns versus The Vision, Logan Paul, Drew McIntyre, and Brock Lesnar. I'm personally not invested in this. And again, I admit I've not been watching like how a lot of this is played out because I don't really watch WWE TV anymore outside of like watching it for like Cena or EO or whatever. But this was not an earned War Games. They just said, well, we got a bunch of stars. Let's put them in. It's probably going to main event. And I would expect the heels to win. And then Brock will go away till the Rumble. Till that big Saudi payday. Logan Paul is probably going to go away till the Rumble. Big Saudi payday. Braun Breaker and The Vision going to do their thing. We'll see. The other last match here. War Games, Rhea Ripley, Io Sky, Alexa Bliss, Charlotte Flair, AJ Lee versus Nia Jax, Last Legend, Kabuki Warriors, and Becky Lynch. I really do hope that they lean into what like the OG, I think, motivation for this match was, which was the Kabuki Warriors Io Sky story. And again, it's just been like probably the most interesting thing to me that's played out on WWE TV. I think things have definitely gotten muddled because now the focus is more so like on AJ and Becky and Charlotte and Nia than it is on that story that brought them here. But you also got to have that, I guess. But it doesn't feel like they're telling that. It doesn't feel like they're telling that story as well over the past couple of weeks from what I've seen. We'll see how it plays out. I expect that Io and Rhea to pick up the victory here. I mean, knowing WWE, AJ probably gets it, but, I would like to see Io or Rhea pick up the victory over the Kabuki Warriors and maybe pin or make them submit. What's up, Sharon? Sharon! What's up, Sharon? Hope you had a happy Thanksgiving as well. I don't watch AEW anymore. Yeah. Again, everyone's got, like, their own taste. And like, my thing is, I would rather have someone, like, who doesn't watch something to hate watch it, because like there's a lot of people who like I don't watch WWE to hate watch it anymore, or even I feel like I never did, but I don't watch things I don't like in wrestling anymore. So I watch the things that I do like, and I've enjoyed the Io Sky stuff. I very much enjoyed this, just seeing John Cena and stuff like that. So that's my thing. But shout out to you, Sharon. Good to see you. The buildup was terrible. Was this for the men's one? Yeah, the men's buildup was like virtually non-existent from what I've seen. So, is what it is. All right, guys. This has been a fun show. We're live for about an hour. Now I have to go about my Saturday, do my thing. Hope everyone's had a wonderful weekend. Hope everyone's had a wonderful Thanksgiving. Hopefully you're all rested up from your food comas, from eating your turkeys. Shout out to everyone. I wish you nothing but happiness, health, and prosperity as we move into the final month of the year, December 2025. It's bound to be an emotional one. We got a lot of content coming over the next couple of weeks. If you guys have not seen my AEW Full Gear vlog, go check that out in partnership with Kenny Baum and Just Brian. If you guys want to become a member and watch my latest release, my members-only release, you can see that I give you the reasons why I don't watch WWE anymore. It's a video essay that goes into that. I got more coming in over the next couple of weeks, so check those out for $5 a month. $5 a month. Less than a coffee these days, much less than some Chipotle. You, too, can go and access all those perks. You guys can support the channel and do all that wonderful stuff, and make sure you get your chats read out, guaranteed. So let's do that, or just hit that like button if you can't. Fully understand. All right, I love you guys. Until next time, I'm Big Ohm. This has been Big Ohm Live. Be happy, be healthy, and as always, keep it real.
You don't have to like me, got enough love in myself, in my psyche. cruising in my lane fast car.